just about to get the keynote kicked off here. It's not even 9:30, and I already have to make my first apology. So I completely screwed up with when that first talk is rescheduled. So the CIS panel is actually 2 o'clock today, and it's swapping for that talk tomorrow. So sorry CIS folks, sorry for the other person I gave a heart attack. But yeah, so I want to introduce Deborah Snyder, CISO for New York State. Let you give, she's going to give her background, but I just want to say, very cool person with a very cool perspective and a very, very cool purview. Like think about if you were the CISO for one of the largest states in America, the types of things that you might see. So without further ado, Deborah Snyder.
All right, they're going to tether me. I'm kind of like an Oprah, right? I like to walk around the stage, but I walked around it before, and this is what happens when you're that active. So I'm going to stay kind of close to here and hopefully not fall off the stage, because that would be funny, and you tweet about it, and I would laugh like that. All right, so my background is curious, right? I graduated with a double BA in psychology and criminal justice, so I understand why people do the bad things that they do. And then I got into state or local government. I worked in the trenches of the counties for a while. And then full of vim and vigor, probably around the age that most of you in the audience are, I said, I'm going to the state to change the world. Still haven't lost the passion, that's good. But came down, wrote legislation, drove programs, and I mean human services programs, learned about technology along the way, because technology is what business runs on, right? And then at some point kind of felt myself morphing into modernization projects and leading change, if you will, through technology enablement. At some point, it became apparent that data was important and sensitive, and systems were important and sensitive, and so we had to pay attention to security. And federal regulations helped make that pencil point a little sharper for us, as audits found fault with systems and how they were built and data and how it was safeguarded. And so I ventured over into the compliance area and audit and security and so on, and the rest is history. Became one of the largest agencies in the state's first CISO, built their program at the consolidation of the IT services in the state of New York at the bold vision of the governor. We consolidated into one agency of 4,200, and I figured if there's going to be a dog pile and security is going to be dragged into a central location, by gosh, I'm going to be on the top of it, right? Not wanting to be left behind, having kind of a big mouth, I figured I could do some further good and write the next chapter, and so I went with that flow. And so now as the state CISO, I thought I would share some of the driving forces in security and also just stray a little bit off the beaten path of cyber and talk about the influences that are going to be driving you crazy in the future, or today and in the future, because they're here today. When I say future, I mean now. So cybersecurity is a pretty demanding field. Let me see if I can turn on the clicker so I don't have to pay attention to 5 or 6 things at once. Okay, great. So did you notice that every single clicker that you touch when you're presenting is different? Every single one. Where's the standards? Where's the love, right? They're all different. So if I do anything crazy, or if I speed through the slides and you're like, just somebody wave and go. All right, so cybersecurity, what's driving it? What's driving all the forces in cybersecurity? It's an in-demand field. I think we all know that. We wouldn't be butts in seats if not, right? Growing cyber attacks, the demand for secure, safe data, regulatory concerns, all of the cyber breaches as a common, they're as common as peanut butter. And by the way, they're just as messy when they happen. And the implications are more than just money. Equifax affected 143 million consumers. The implications range from annoyance, the site's down, I can't buy something I want at 2 in the morning, to interruptions that are more serious and expose sensitive data, to cold and hard flesh and blood impact on health, public safety, and economic development. In terms of the rationale behind that, it really comes from the velocity and the volume and the complexity and sophistication with which we're being attacked. WannaCry is probably my favorite example. May 2017, 4 days, 150 countries, 200,000 victims. Eye-popping. 400,000 devices. 98% were exploited Windows machines, outdated OSs. Encrypted files, demanded ransom in Bitcoin. wreaked havoc, shut down factories, shipping, physical systems, losses and costs in productivity, revenue, remediation and recovery in the billions. Just phenomenal how fast it climbed through globally, the world. Economic impact. Here's some numbers that ought to scare the pants off of our chief financial officers in any sector, right? 2017, the average cost of a data breach was over $3.5 million. Single incident. That's massive. What small startup company, or for that matter, big company, has $3.5 million or more in a little contingency fund that they just say, hey, yeah, okay, good, just spend that. I'm sorry, just give us that and we'll use that as our budget to improve cybersecurity. How about that? In terms of the losses in intangible sensibility, confidential data, IP, financial crimes, online fraud, cost of securing the systems to begin with, buying cyber insurance, recovering from incidents, the sheer reputational damage that they cause in terms of loss of public trust, personal and corporate liability, and so on. Not a pretty picture for organizations that are suffering through them. In terms of the need for trained cybersecurity professionals, as you can see from the map, and if you look at New York State, we happen to be in the darkest blue, right? So you see the numbers up there. Lots of opportunities, lots and lots of opportunities. Job security, life is good, business is awesome. Wish it wasn't quite so awesome, but hey, in terms of opportunities, there's a shortage of skilled talent. 350,000 open job postings in the United States alone. The global shortage is 3.5 million projected by 2019 and growing. Simply cannot fill the jobs as fast as they are being posted. Why? Because every single sector, every single organization in the world requires the resources to protect their data, systems, and infrastructure. We cannot do business without those three things. They have tremendous tangible and intangible value. Cybersecurity is also a really financially lucrative career. I'd be remiss if I did not mention that. Cybersecurity jobs command a $6,000 to $7,000 premium cost over other IT sector jobs, which pay pretty well, but I mean, they're a top of grade, most certainly. The average salary ranges from $85,000 starting, that's out of school, to $116,000, $120,000 and upwards in private sector. It's around $55 per hour, $55 per hour, which is 3 times the national median income for full-time wage salary workers, according to the Bureau of Labor. Most cybersecurity professionals, however, I'm glad to say, myself included, are not in it for the money alone, the payback, right? Because it's exciting, it's dynamic, it's never the same job twice. How many of you come into work and are enthusiastic for what you're going to learn today? There's just something new every single day. And that's that driving force of technology, right? The role also comes with an incredible amount of responsibility, and it brings immense value for your organizations. So you'll be a highly valued member of the team, no matter where you're playing from. If you learn the correct skill sets, and if you're good at what you do, it's no longer okay just to graduate with a degree. You've got to be able to do the job. It's a very lucrative and demanding and exciting field, and I'm happy to welcome you all here. I'd be remiss if I did not give a shout out to my good friend Tyler. Fantastic second year, congratulations on that. Thank you for inviting me. And is this great or what? Is this venue great or what? So let's talk about the kind of jobs that are out there a little bit. So again, got skills, you'll get a great job. 350,000 open jobs. That's a lot of job market, a lot of opportunity, a lot of options, a lot of leverage. Be careful, but ask for what you're worth, right? You know your value, you know what you can do when you go in there. Be loud and proud about your skill sets. So it ranges from the very technical, cybersecurity engineers, physical cybersecurity, to the technology-invested, technology-based security jobs, analysts, threat intelligence, cybersecurity managers and administrators, that interface with the business, the client, if you will. Software developers and engineers that follow a secure system development lifecycle, because if you don't, bad things will happen, your code hemorrhages data. Vulnerability analysts that keep our systems secure. Configuration security experts that make sure that we build it secure by design from a hardware platform and so on design. IT auditors, my favorite. No, maybe not my favorite, but my friend, most certainly. Especially the internal auditors, because they find it for us first before the federal auditors come in and find us and done us for it, right? Compliance and risk managers, incident response, digital forensics. Possibilities are endless. But I'm here to say that no matter what job you have in technology, no matter what job you have in business, I don't care if you're a lawyer, I don't care if you are a doctor, I don't care if you are in the services industries for human services. If data and systems and infrastructure are important to do your business, a part of your job is what? Capital C-Y-B-E-R, cyber. Because we no longer do business manually. We've digitized damn near everything. And in doing so, the properties associated with that information, with those systems, with those dependencies on technology, carry a certain modicum of risk. So every single job has a cyber component. Every single technology job is a cyber job by definition. Whether it has cyber in the title or not, part of it is. And I'll use by example, my good friend Dan Donnelly sitting over here, quality assurance. Dan, do you make sure that we don't have any cybersecurity concerns in our code before we migrate it across the wire? There's only one right answer to that question. Database. If you're a database analyst or a database manager, part of your job is making sure that the data in the container is secure and that who has access to it is moderately, tightly controlled, and that you are attentive to database security controls. So every single job, those are just two examples, every single job has a piece of cyber in it. If you're a project manager and you're designing the new whether it's a new mobile application or a new platform, the bottom line is you must build cybersecurity tasks in by design. If you don't, they're not free. They take time and dime to execute on. No one will do them if they're not in your project plan. So you too need to know about cyber and make sure you're investing in it. So the question I have for you is, are you ready? Got skills? Maybe, but are you ready? The biggest skills gaps and the fastest growing skill sets are business and technology professionals who can identify, assess, and present cyber risk in business terms, that can talk about communications and frameworks and standards and compliance and audits in business terms, that can say we must do this because it enables the business to go where you want to go boldly, without reservation, without concern, without fear. So any of you who've maybe had rubbed elbows with cybersecurity professionals in the past, you may have experienced one or more that have said, oh my God, no, we can't do that, it's too scary. That is just not business enabling. I spent 20 some odd years in the business first before I crossed the line over to cyber. I'm here to tell you that what they want, anybody you work for, is results. If you're revenue generating, that of course is bottom line, but what they want is results. They want to take their program where they want to go. And if you stand in the way, they will mow you down like grass. You need to be enabling, wind beneath their wings, the coach, the facilitator, the guider that helps them go where they want to go, them being our business. Align yourself with them, find the way, provide guidance, and march forward. In terms of staying fluent in emerging technologies, that's what the primary purpose of this keynote is about today. So we're going to talk about some mega trends that essentially you need to be paying attention to, because if you're not on top of those now, again, are you ready? Is the question you should be asking yourself. Are you ready for this? Billions of connected devices, smart cities. How many of you live in a town, village, locale, city? All your hands should go up. You live somewhere, right? Commune, I don't know. All of you do. And every single one of them is probably considering some smart thing, whether it's smart street lights or solar power or smart waste removal, or maybe integrated cities. New York just happens to be, New York City, it just happens to be one of the smartest cities in the world 3 years in a row. So we'll talk about that. Are you ready for innovation to zero technology projects? Environmental, energy, emission initiatives. We might not get to zero, but if it's our goal and we get to 50%, that's incredible, and you're going to help us get there. Multiple devices. How many people wear a Fitbit or something on their wrist that tells you whether you've walked or stood up in the last 2 hours? Some days it yells at me and says, Deb, stand up. Those are all helping us be more fit and more conscious of our health and well-being, sleep better, manage our medicines and so on. So those are all, the medical technology is a big driving force. In terms of being ready, what I want to talk about is several trends, mega trends, that you need to pay attention to and know about and get out in front of and be versed in. If these aren't part of your toolkit, if this isn't part of your knowledge base, you're not ready. So I encourage you to pay attention to cloud computing. I know it's not new. We've been using cloud computing for years, but it's presenting and driving a whole new paradigm shift in terms of the new set of technologies that are emerging. Things like containerization as an application development strategy, microservices, rapid development and deployment cycles, blockchain. Quickly moving to those things, organizations often skip proper consideration or understanding of security and the business risk impact of doing it. You're putting your data in the cloud. You're totally dependent upon someone else to keep you up and running. So everything you used to depend on your network people and your infrastructure people to do, you could walk down to the network and say, hey Joe, hey Jill, what's going on? I'm down. You now need to make a phone call, and you better have your T's and your I's dotted and crossed in your contracts, because that's going to be what you live and die by. So cloud dependencies are something we need to think about. And that comes to the 4-letter word called risk, right? Next one is ubiquitous computing. Pervasive, any device, anytime, anywhere, any format. And how many of you want it that way? Oh my gosh, are your hands not going up? Do you not carry like 1 or 2 or 5 devices with you at all times? Do you not get like radically upset when you can't buy something at 2 in the morning? Or reach something at 2 in the morning, or 3 in the morning, or 5 in the morning, whatever time you're up and running? And the processes in the physical realm that are being transformed and instrumented in new and innovative ways at an incredible pace, making them interconnected and intelligent, generating new data sets, new uses. What are they also generating along the way? New, again, that 4-letter word, new risk. New risk as to what to collect, how to use it, who can use it, how we protect it, where it's stored, and so on. In terms of an example, I want to talk about my favorite technology project. Oh my gosh, it's a construction project, right? Is it a construction project? Structural health systems that monitor this bridge, the Tappan Zee or the Governor Mario and Cuomo Bridge, depending upon whether you're local or not. 2 names, love it. The structural health bridge monitoring system that monitors this bridge has over 700 sensors built in. It monitors corrosion and temperature and wind speed and settling, all the main piers and towers, top to bottom, cabling systems, vibration, strain, superstructure, acceleration frequencies, and temperature and deflection. Its intelligent transformation, or its intelligent systems are throughout the bridge at every point. It's heavily technology-based and sensor-loaded to the nines. Incredible technology project. In terms of the intelligent transportation systems that are built in, there are 143 different smart signs that help control traffic during traffic events. 27 camera systems that help operators know what's going on and verify what's visually verify what's occurring. Transfer and transmit readers and inputs from weather stations that offer operators quick access to information that might affect bridge safety and speed. Dynamic message and lane controls, variable speed limit signs, weigh in motion, no more weigh stations, weigh you as you go. 2,700 lighting fixtures and 156 power supplies. Redundant to the nines again, and teched out to the nines. Fascinating. Anything that's smart is also, who knows the answer to that? At risk, hackable maybe, but certainly at risk. So all of these systems need to be intelligently deployed and intelligently managed from a security posture perspective. And you can light it up at night in all kinds of different colors, which is not only cool, but also could be used as a sensory warning signal. If I were in a boat approaching a bridge and it was all lit up in red, and I knew that to be the warning color, like a red light flashing, which it can do as well, I might pay attention to that. Huge bridge in my way, flashing red. Yep, definitely paying attention. Less likely to run into peers. They can light up any segment, so if you've got to go here versus there, they can light up green and red. Also good for Christmas. So very, very technology savvy, very technology heavy, but incredible. If you want to read about it, there's lots out on the internet about it, but it's one of the most fascinating projects I've ever seen in the state of New York. Let's talk about data for a moment. The new oil, as they say. So why do they call it that? The concept is credited to a mathematician, a British mathematician called Clive Humbly. And while he felt that data was inherently valuable in and of itself, he also felt it needed to be processed like oil, mined, refined, before its real true value was apparent and could be unlocked. Because information powers business, and data is a valuable commodity with many different uses across many different applications. It can help change most industry and business processes, from inefficient to informed and data-driven. It's core to transforming business as we see it today. Artificial intelligence, or as I like to call it, intelligent automation, and advanced predictive analytics are just part of the day, just part of how we do business now, or should be. Because otherwise we're driving blind. We fail to see the correlations and opportunities, we fail to see the risk, and we fail to respond timely. Data becomes imminently more useful when it's processed. It often reveals future and further uses. A good example is the medical data that might be collected from patients being aggregated as doctors diagnose and treat individual patients going forward. Another use is anonymizing it and feeding it into a machine learning system to generate broader aspects of insight that can benefit research in pharmaceuticals. As we instrument and digitize physical, IoT, sensor-based technologies, we're exponentially increasing the places and ways in which data can be captured, used, and reused. And in doing so, we're changing the way we live and work. We're generating value and benefits from a social perspective. We're innovating, we're accelerating our ability to take charge and to solve grand-scale challenges for our business organizations. Things like education and healthcare, reducing poverty and hunger, anticipating cyber attacks, thwarting cyber terrorism or terrorist attacks, reducing risk, and reversing climate change are all possible through data analytics and predictive data. Big data, particularly in the mass quantities that it's collected today, is a commodity. It's driving the digital economy, it's driving digital business and government. It's becoming a business differentiator. Those who do not do will fall behind from a market and a performance perspective. It's driving better decisions, allowing us to see invisible trends and correlations, and ultimately predict the future, what to avoid, what to seize, and run with. Our concerns, of course, then, because not to be completely data-free, the rules or the lack thereof of governance around how it should be used and treated and managed as their work in progress. As data becomes available, that's technically easy to reveal it and share it and pass it around and use it in various ways. The ethics of how it should be used have to be in the back of our mind and in the front of our forehead and concern. Specialized skill sets are going to be required to truly understand and leverage data in meaningful ways, because otherwise, what is it? White noise. Lots and lots and lots of data, lots of white noise. Mining and refining is necessary. Digital ethics and the governance of data gathered and generated in the digital realm will pose important challenges. We haven't solved all those riddles. Lawyers and smarter people than I will be diving in and analytically discerning how we go forward in terms of those areas. Next trend, artificial intelligence and intelligent automation. According to a recent study, we spend 54% of our time on administration, coordination, and control, and only 10% on strategic thinking and innovation. How in God's name do we aspire to innovate? How do we aspire to do things differently, to do different things, to create new products and services when we're wasting so much time on inefficient processes? What if we could get that 54% back in our day? What if we could spend that time on innovation and visioning the future? Welcome our new business partner and coworker in the digital age, intelligent automation. Technology's integration into business processes just allows things to be done better and automated in a quicker fashion. More consistent, simpler, efficient, reduce cost, increase consistency. How many of you like to do boring things over and over and over again? Not one hand, darn it. All right, there's always one guy. I think most of us could get rid of some of that in our day. But yet, how many of you feel you have some part of your job that is just that? Almost all of us, right? Intelligent automation brings fundamental changes to how we do business and individual work. But from a security perspective, unfettered AI, without thought to potential misuse, could pose hazards and risks. So I'll give you some examples. The proliferation of automated intelligence technologies could enable new forms of cybercrime, political disruption, and even physical attacks. As AI capabilities and the use of AI systems lead to expanding threats, introduce new threats, and they'll actually change the characteristic of the types of threats that we see and have to deal with and respond to and control and contain and eradicate and so on. With every good use, of course, of technology comes potential bad uses and bad actors. So if we don't consider the potential misuse, if we don't build security in with intent, the power of bad actors using AI to threaten everyday life increases and will eventually pose a significant problem to its use and adoption. AI could be used algorithmically to derive soft military targets or to profile individuals through social media to maximize the likelihood that a user would click, taking the bait on a phishing campaign. They could use it to automate the discovery of critical software bugs, of course so could security professionals, and rapidly select potential victims for potential crime attacks. Drones designed to deliver packages for Amazon, because you want your stuff now, could also just as easily be weaponized with small explosives and weaponry, so-called slaughter bots. Seriously, not a good use of AI. Automated, hyper-personalized disinformation campaigns that target you as individual voters with customized lies that are designed specifically to influence your reaction could damage democratic process. Now, just because I'm telling you the bad things that could happen, just because there's a caution flag, just because there's risk, shouldn't be taken as the sky is falling, oh my God, we can't use technology. Technology is here to stay. Technology is the solution to so many problems. We must use technology to thrive and drive forward. There's no doubt that AI is going to be beneficial. It already is in the field of cybersecurity, medicine, and so on. It simply outperforms humans in real-time massive data collection and analytical tasks. It doesn't remove the human decision at the end of the road. It simply processes large, massive amounts of data very, very quickly for us. And it's essential to cyber defense capabilities. Another survey asked police and justice and independent intelligence programs worldwide what their biggest challenges were. And they had two answers. What were they, do you think? Money, I heard somebody say it, right? Money, constraints, and increased citizen expectations as to modern systems that facilitate response. So our citizenry is not going to accept us not using technology to do a better job at whatever it is we do either. Digital transformation is simply essential to overcoming challenges. But we need to exercise balance in designing security and robustness into every single AI solution and ensure ethical use of the data. Now this is one you probably haven't thought about. This is why I need a lavalier, because I tend to move my hands around and eat the mic. Rapid urbanization. How many of you live in cities? All right, so a good number of you. Cities are driving forward on smart municipality initiatives every day. Social innovation, the concept of social innovation, something you should understand, should hit your ear. The process of developing and deploying effective solutions to challenging, often systemic social and environmental issues, supporting social process through technology is real, it's a science, and it's an art. Smart city initiatives include things that we recognize every day, like intelligent lighting and sidewalks that heat up to melt snow, digital kiosks, GIS for special events and safety, body cameras, drones for emergency response, parking sensors, charging stations that drive up to your car because you've had the app on your phone and you say, I need a recharge, versus you driving into a charging station, which is very cool. Mobility and accessibility assistance, applications that help blind people navigate their cities in a much more easy and enriching experience. Waste management and recycling. Waste baskets that know when they're ready to be filled and picked up. I love it. So the route is defined by the fullness of the waste container, if you will. New York City is such a smart city. They happen to have led the world, not New York State, not the nation, but the world, in terms of cities ready to embrace the future. 2016, 17, and 18, they were among the smartest cities. In 2 out of those years, they were #1. That contest, by the way, looks at 12 different dimensions, including economy, technology, human capital, mobility and transportation, urban planning, the environment, management and governance, etc. One of their projects that I'll call attention to, Link New York City. If you've been in New York City, you've probably seen the kiosks. There are 7,500 of them stretched across 5 boroughs. They have free USB charging ports, free, faster than lightning, 100 times faster than average public Wi-Fi, encrypted to protect personal data. They led with a citizen privacy first objective. Free phone calls to anywhere in the United States. Link tablets, including 311, 911, and 411, calling card access, speakers, headphones, you name it, you can plug in there. Get city maps, events, register tickets, and there's of course opt-in services that help them use more, but opt-in being the critical factor there. Because if you're going to track me as I course through the city, I'm going to agree first before you do that. Otherwise, I'm going to feel like I'm a red dot on somebody's board and you haven't asked if I want that service. So privacy aspects and navigation is an opt-in option for New York City. In terms of cybersecurity challenges, as digital citizens become instrumented, yes, you are instrumented. Because of what? Everybody hold up their cell phones. The sensor you carry around with you every day. Maybe you have 2, one for each hand. So now I know where your left hand is and your right hand. As we become instrumented, data is available about your location, your activities, your person. Data use and ownership lines blur, that gray area in between use, collection, and privacy. Vulnerable systems and infrastructure can be exposed. Complete, widespread cyber attacks surface through sensors. Sound privacy and security policies and practices are essential. So again, lots of jobs, lots of opportunity, lots of new stuff going on, lots of cool things to secure if you have the right skills and you've paid attention to the megatrends. Another smart initiative, just to give you a sense of some of the problems, I'll use this to exemplify data collection. So when you ride one of these bikes, you rent it, you pay for it. It knows where you go. It knows how fast you rode the route from A to B to C. That would be really slow for me. So is this city bike application city bikes? Is it a Cigna app? Is it a New York City app? Who developed it? Partnership. There's a question. Who owns the data? Me. If I opted in to use it, they have it. Are they using it within the confines of ethical use? Who knows? Who benefits from it? Can it be commoditized and sold? Who's it shared with? You can't create a platform for permissionless innovation without the right governance and security and without asking the consumer if they're willing to give data, some data, about themselves to use it. The right security technology is there. You need to know how to use it, apply it. It's just unevenly implemented badly in many cases. Making it easier to do security well by building capacity and capability into platforms like this so developers don't have to worry about it is key. But until that happens across and is ubiquitous across all of these types of platforms, it's incumbent upon us to pay attention to those concerns. And so that leads to the last transformation trend or mega trend that I want to talk about. As you enter the workforce, or if you're in the workforce, a term that might come to mind, upscaling or upskilling, if you will, is all about reskilling us for the future. Reskilling us because business is changing at warp speed, brick and mortars to online service, voice networks to data networks, hardware to the cloud, landline to mobile first, people from foreign tasks to automation. 90% of the maturing companies expect digital disruption, but only 44% are adequately preparing for it. How's that possible? Again, if you are ready for this, you must pay attention to the fact that the workers of today, the workforce of today, is probably not legitimately skilled in all of these megatrend areas that are busted out and pushing forward at a rate of speed. So if you want to differentiate yourselves, pay attention to these. If you want to differentiate your organization, your company, pay attention to these. Jobs are transitioning at a rapid speed in a time of automation, and while new job skill sets are essential, they're also costly. So what falls apart? Who can tell me what falls apart in terms of organizations and money? What most falls off the table? The big T word, right? Training. Ugh. And so we're left to our own devices to figure it out. Well, in some cases, self-training is okay, but I don't think you're going to learn this stuff on YouTube, by and large. I think that there's going to have to be some investments by organizations and by us personally to keep up to speed. Organizations are recognizing that investing in retraining is necessary, but are they putting the money where the mouth is? That's the concern. You might think of cybersecurity as a specialized niche career, but I'm here to tell you that it's not. Again, spread across every job. Again, embedded in every IT job that you might ever do. In every professional respect, every sector needs it because every sector must protect their critical information, data, systems, and infrastructure. Technology is affecting all aspects of our life. In today's connected world, more and more of our personal lives and work functions are managed digitally and will evolve around these technologies. Everyone in every career must know the basics about security. So the question again, I led with it and I'll finish with it, is are you ready? Because the future will require innovative, creative thinkers, solution-oriented mindsets, and technology. So are you ready? Thank you.